Hi there, welcome to the introduction on English literature at A level. Again, a really popular course that we offer at this school, and it's fantastic for those of you that are wanting to study all sorts of different aspects at university. We often have people doing this when they're interested in being medics, so it's a great an accompaniment to many different subjects because of the level of detail that you go into things. And you know, if you're interested in a career in law, for example, or perhaps you're interested in psychology, or perhaps you're interested in anything to do with communication, because what we look at are how words work and how details are. So if it's a career that requires details, that requires you to be looking in depth at things, then this course absolutely helps with doing that. So what we do is AQA's English Literature course and the specification B. And we've got various options, but what we've chosen to do is to do aspects of comedy. We find that it's a bit more nuanced than tragedy, and also it's a great one to teach because also it's quite funny. So it's not looking at how things are funny ha-ha necessarily. There are lots of conventions that you learn that are indicative of how comedy has been created in varying texts. So, for example, with paper one, the first two questions, one of them is an extract question, so it's an extract from Twelfth Night, and you look at how it best represents aspects of comedy, and those might be the pompous nature of characters and their posturing, and how they get their comeuppance ultimately and have made the butt of the joke, for example. And then you get the same text studied for section B. So Twelfth Night is really important because as a Shakespearean text, it's studied as 2 in this exam. And you do statement questions. So it's to what extent does it show the treatment of women as inferior in comedy, for example. And so you'd look at that one in comparison to another question. You might choose a different one instead. So it gives you options and choice within that one. And then the third section is looking at a play. So you do Wilde's Importance of Being Earnest, which is absolutely hilarious, really witty, and very much of its Victorian era. And then you do a shorter essay, essentially, again on aspects of comedy and some poetry, a collection of poems from varying writers from across the decades. And so it's a comparison one, but you don't actually have to directly compare them. It's a bit of an odd one, but again, that covers the first exam. It's closed book because you've got extracts on that first one, and so it does require learning quotations and things, but there's plenty of space within the course to really get to know it inside out. And we use the theatre and screening versions to really help with understanding, particularly in using subtitles and things. That absolutely helps with that appreciation. We then look at paper 2, which is social and political protest writing. This is where you've got the unseen element, so it could be an extract from a play, a poem, another novel, and you look at to what extent it best represents elements of social political writing, such as looking at those with and without power, looking at how people are manipulated through the politics of the era and the power of nations and that sort of thing. So we go into detail quite a bit with those, so that you can, be absolutely au fait with approaching an unseen text and not being fazed by it at all, which is, again, a really valuable skill for any subject. We then look at another text as well, in comparison in this third section, which is looking at the social political protest writing from Tony Harrison's poetry, which is very much anti-Thatcher of its era, which is a great compliment to if you're doing history, again a good era for that one. And A Doll's House, which is also looking at the treatment of women and how they're breaking away from the domestic sphere, which again is really pertinent too. The Kite Runner is the section B one, and that within that one again you look at a statement question, and it's to what extent does it best represent social political protest writing. So again, it might be the voicelessness of women, for example, and in there it might be the dominance of one particular regime over another. So you learn a lot to do with the history and the context and era, and use that to inform your interpretations. So it's a fantastic course to do. You've got the hilarity of doing comedy, and you've also got the seriousness, the political seriousness of the other side, which sets you up in the range of texts for any course, but in particular it's great for if you're interested in doing literature later. Okay, so if you're an avid reader, then it's a great course to be doing there. You get to study 2 texts for your coursework. A poetry collection, again, of your choice. That's entirely up to you what you do. And you've also got an excellent scope for any novel. It could be a contemporary novel. It could be, that's maybe been nominated for the Booker Prize, for example, or it could be a classic text, and you choose from varying lenses what you want to study from it. So it could be feminist, and you learn the background to that, Marxist, eco-critical, a narrative point of view, post-colonial, and even literary canon, whether it's deserving of more of a place. It's a fantastic course. We absolutely love teaching it, and the uptake's fantastic, and the results are pretty outstanding. Okay, lovely to meet you. Bye.